I'm bringing to you through our virtual video call the head coach of Felician College of Rutherford, New Jersey. Coach is coming off of his 4th consecutive conference championship. He's a local guy, just like many of you are. He's a Monmouth County guy, a Jersey Shore guy, right down to the heart of it. Grew up in Union Beach, played at Keyport High School, has been a successful baseball player, successful coach for a long time. So we really want to welcome him in, and we're going to talk about the recruiting process in college baseball and the recruiting process for you guys as high school, young guys in high school, and what you may have up ahead coming forward for you guys. Some of the things you're going to learn today that could be a lot of good answers to a lot of your questions or your parents' questions. So I'm going to hand it over to Coach, and he'll go from here, and we'll go and get a really great day in with us right now. Go ahead, Chris.
Well, first of all, thank you, obviously, for the opportunity to, again, kill some time, kill some boredom. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. And the opportunity to do this, and hopefully educate some of you guys today. What's going on here? Screen sharing. All right. I'm just going to keep talking, and hopefully you'll tell me you can still hear me.
Perfect. It's perfect. You got it.
You guys are facing a challenging time in your lives where you have to make one of the most important decisions. And, I always try to start off every conversation I have with every one of our recruits with, trying to find the right potential fit. So what does that actually mean to you, the audience, or to me? To me, the real fit means, you want to find the right social school, the right athletic school, and the right academic situation to complete the right fit. So again, when you're making this choice, you want to try to find all three. So you want to start making some pros and cons and checking your boxes and just making sure that you're in a place that you feel very, very comfortable. Because when you don't, what happens is you start to make excuses. You start to just not do well academically. Then you don't do well athletically, and then things just start to snowball. You go out of control, and then you're transferring. You're on the transfer portal. You're costing mom and dad a lot of money, extra money. And then you're doing this process all over again. So I think you got to see a lot of schools. I think you got to start being realistic about, where you could be in the recruiting world, whether it's Division I, II, or III. Obviously, I know everybody's goal is Division I, much as it was mine as a young player. But at the end of the day, you want to find a coach that you really believe in, someone who's going to be able to help nurture you, develop you. And, those are the things that are way more important than finding a huge campus with a lot of buildings that, to me, were useless, didn't make a lot of sense, that I was never going to even be in. So, again, be prepared, have a lot of, you have a lot of resources to use. Make sure you take advantage of all of them, including Coach Blackwell. There's a lot of stuff online you can take a look at. So really familiarize yourself with the school, the program. Make sure you understand the positions that are needed in your recruiting class, because obviously that's something that comes into play. Have an idea that, this college process is going to cost, unfortunately, parents money. So make sure that's something that's going to be in an affordable range. Although, yes, we do all have scholarships to offer. Not many guys go to school for honestly less than $7,000 to $8,000 a year. Some guys are still paying way more than that. But again, everybody's financial situations is different. So just make sure you're real familiar with the process and the schools, the coaches, kind of find out if it's a contract year for the coach. I think there's just a lot of things that you have to look at and understand. So make sure you take advantage of all the resources that you have.
That's great, Coach. I'm going to go with the first question to start the day off for all of us is, well, when do we actually contact the college coach? Do we do that? Like, how do we know as a high school kid, like, when should I do that? Well, I'm a sophomore and I didn't play varsity this year, but I think I really want to play college baseball. Should I contact the coach? Any type of scenario, maybe I'm asking. So what do you think on that? When's the best time for a kid?
So I think obviously there's so many colleges out there and there's so many different fits. I think once you're able to do it this summer, of your sophomore year, start the process. Start trying to get some information. Most coaches are going to start off with, hey, let's see at camp, and they're going to start to do the evaluation that way. But create dialogue early. I think that certainly helps. The longer we have a chance to see players, I think the more success we've had with recruiting them. You get an opportunity to really kind of figure out what makes them tick. They get a chance to see what makes you tick. I just think the more conversation, the more communication, obviously, the better the scenario. So, and again, I know everybody wants to be a D1 player. There's a lot of schools. There's a lot of fits for a lot of different players. So don't just kind of have that one dream and one goal of, Division I, Division I, Division I, because there's a lot of really good Division IIIs out there. There's obviously some really good Division IIs. There's a lot of good baseball across the country. So again, get back to finding the right fit for you as the potential student athlete.
Coach, what about what a kid might, like, they don't know, they don't know what they're going to do as far as become after they're done playing baseball, whether that's after college, if they're fortunate, any kid to go on and play professionally. They don't know if they're going to turn into being a scientist, work for New Jersey Transit, become a carpenter. They don't have no idea, So how do they know what school might be right for them? What goes into that?
I mean, I think, by the time you hit your sophomore year, right, in high school, you're starting to talk to guidance counselors. This whole college process is becoming more of a reality. And I think they're helping you guide you a little bit like towards your strengths. If you're good at math or your history, I think they're starting to help, kind of help pave the way a little bit for you. Honestly, to today, I still don't know what I want to do in real life. I've been very fortunate to be coaching baseball, but if it wasn't for this, I'm not sure what I'd be doing, to be honest. But find something you like. It's got to be something you're going to do the rest of your life. And for younger people, obviously, we don't envision much more than being a professional baseball player or the next millionaire or blogger or all these things that are going on now today. But I think being realistic with it and just figuring out what your strengths are, is kind of where you have to go towards the academic side. And we always have to remember that we're going to school. You're going to school first to be a student, and then you're being the athlete. There's so many guys that I've been in contact with. And been fortunate to coach that have gone on to pro baseball, and then that don't make the major leagues. And even the guys that have, like Jerry Vasto, if his career doesn't hit a $20 million contract or $10 million contract, he's going to have to work. And Jerry was fortunate enough to get his master's, in business, so he's got himself set up for life after baseball. I think that's something that when you're young, you're not thinking about. But I think as we start to get a little older, the reality starts to settle in a little bit. And you want to have something to fall back on, So obviously your education is the most important thing. And I'm pretty thankful that I listened to a lot of people, including you, and stayed in school and kept grinding away because I didn't like it. But been very fortunate, because I stayed in school and did enough to keep getting my degree and then stay in school longer to get another one. So.
That's right. So you know what, Coach? I'm going to share my screen and go with the document you sent me. See if I can pull that up on the screen and manipulate the actual size of it, which is the financial aid comes in, and with the academics also plays in. So whatever type of aid, whatever type of scholarship, whatever type of academics that any player may end up having coming out of high school is going to play into that dollar amount for any certain family. And it's so important on the academic side. So I have it on the screen now. I guess you can see, probably everybody can see it, I would think. Yeah, it is on the screen. Coach, that was so this is Division II's sliding scale, right? The qualifying scale. So
yeah,
if you want to talk a little bit about that, how that actually works.
Yeah, so basically, again, with every kid that now believes they're going to be a college athlete, Division I, II, or III. I mean, Division III, so it doesn't so much apply, but you need to register with the NCAA Eligibility Center. Once you do that, Division I and Division II have obviously some slightly different, parameters as far as what's a qualifier, from an academic standpoint. So you see in front of you, there's ours. Now we have a sliding scale as well, which we didn't have, obviously up until I think it's 2018. That actually doesn't really get into the financial aid part of it, but it does tell you, hey, this is what's going to give you the chance to be eligible for an athletic scholarship. Those grades with that SAT score, and then obviously having the right core classes. So everybody at their high school right now, some schools have changed it up a little bit. They're using their athletic directors, but most of the time it's still the guidance counselors in your schools that have this information. And again, if you're considering yourself to be a college prospective student athlete, you should definitely go on to the NCAA Eligibility Center, fill out the forms and get yourself ready, because that's one of the first things for us as we get into the recruiting process that we need to kind of start rolling the ball. Getting you up there for an official visit and kind of working out financials. We need all this information just to make sure you're on track. Because if you're not a qualifier, obviously you're not eligible for scholarship money. You could possibly get academic, but obviously if you're looking at that scale, if you're not an athletic qualifier, it's really hard to become an academic qualifier for scholarship money. And the difference obviously between the partial qualifier and an actual qualifier, the partial qualifier can receive athletic aid and can practice, but you cannot compete in a season. So you're basically sitting out that year, and there comes that wonderful word redshirt again. So that basically would be what a redshirt would be if you're not a qualifier at a high school, if you're only a partial.
Very good. Can you go over now? I have the pointer guy going over to core GPA. I'm the full qualifier. So guys, if you could actually see the screen, everybody out there. So Coach, if you would go over for them as being, this is something new to them. They don't know this. We're just going to say everybody doesn't know, myself included. Teach us this. What does it actually mean, the sliding scale, and how am I actually getting some kind of score out of this? What does that mean?
So your core GPA is calculated within your maths, your histories, everything except like your home ec, your gym. Obviously you have to have foreign language included in there. So that's actually your core GPA, because I know a lot of guys tell me, oh, I have a 3.5 in whatever high school in the regular classes, and then when you get into the core, you're taking out a lot of those A's for those electives that obviously we all should do pretty well in. So you're getting down to just your core curriculum, your basics, your math, your histories, your Englishes, your sciences, and your foreign language. And then if you as you scroll down the list, it'll tell you. So you're going to look for like your SAT score. So your 2-part SAT score, if you had a 900, I don't even know where that is on this list right now. You have to scroll down for me. It's somewhere towards the bottom probably. So basically the higher SAT score you get, you can see it kind of relates with a lower GPA. And then obviously if you're lower SAT score, you need to have a higher GPA. So there's 900 down there. So it looks like you need like a 2.2 something GPA, right? In the core, 2.275 or 2.25, something like that.
225, yes. There we go. Right there.
So that's kind of like, basically that's kind of how it works. I mean, so the lower SAT score, the higher GPA, the lower SAT score needed. What gets kind of tricky though, some schools have obviously, much like us, have their own academic requirements. So sometimes kids come in with lower SATs, lower GPAs, and they would be qualifiers, but we still have to do some work on our end to make sure they're going to be accepted into our our college or into their prospective, the respective school that they actually choose, of education, business, and that nature, nursing. So it gets a little tricky, It's not so much that it's cut and dry as that paper looks, where we're not accepting anybody with a 400 SAT. I can promise you that, And I would tell most of those guys they should be looking at a junior college if that's the case anyhow.
So, that's something right there you just brought up, the accepting to the institution. So just so you guys understand what we just looked at on that chart, all right? So this is my interpretation of that right now. So that chart is the NCAA athletic eligibility, just meaning as a freshman, whether or not you can actually play, you're allowed to, you're eligible to, that you could play baseball at that institution that you're attending. That's what that was. That was your scores that you had from high school to qualify to be eligible as a freshman. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're automatically going to be accepted into any XYZ college, university, anything like that, okay? Coach, you're at a university, right? So, the university accepts students by their transcript, by recommendations, those kind of things. So, as Coach just said, that doesn't mean just because it shows on the chart that if you have a 225, that you need a blank, 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 whatever that might be, SAT score, automatically means the college will accept you, okay? This is athletic purposes in baseball we're talking about. right now. So, just so you all understand that. And we're getting into a little bit about financial aid, as I led into before, Coach, and you were saying this is more the academic. So on the financial aid side, just what is financial aid? What does that actually mean coming off of each family would be different, right? So
Yeah, I mean, they consider financial aid. I mean, obviously, there is a piece of it because we actually consider financial aid a piece to be at some of the academic side too. But most of the time, it's just need-based. There's a calculator that every college now, when you apply, when you go on their financial aid site, will have for you, and you can pretty much get a really good guesstimate of what type of aid you would receive. They use what now is like a prior tax return for the families, so it gets a little more. I guess if the incomes don't change too much over the course of 3 years, 4 years, something like that, you're pretty much set, like where you're going to be in this range to have to pay out of pocket. And again, financial aid to me is it's kind of a foreign thing because it's not really part of what we do, but I have to go to somebody and ask them, does this family qualify? I mean, doing it long enough, you kind of have an idea what the benchmarks are. But again, for every family is different. 3 kids, 2 kids, 1 kid, 5 kids, 6 kids. I mean, this much income, that much income, it really has changed. And sometimes it's not all about just the income you have. It's about assets. If you were lucky enough to get some kind of inheritance or something like that, or won a lottery, things like that, all kind of get figured into it. So it's again, financial aid is real tricky too. It's its own little entity. And we have to obviously work hand in hand with, the people at our school to try to make sure, we have an idea of what they're getting. Because obviously at the end, we're taking all 3 parts, the academic, the athletic, and the financial aid. We're putting that all together. And that's the offer that we're presenting to the family.
There's something that parents will end up finding out is really, really always a tough thing to figure it out and be able to handle the form that is the infamous FAFSA form.
Yeah.
which is federal aid. It is what we're actually just talking about now in this conversation. Some parents, through the years found that, to be harder than even the actual player, student, athlete, whatever we want to call them, baseball, but, picking what school he wanted to go to or going to visit schools or whatever was a lot easier than filling out a form. So there are a few things that go into when we talk about monies, scholarship monies that aren't coming from the baseball program itself, the athletic scholarship from that baseball program. Yeah, the school may offer academic scholarships. Right? So, Coach, talk a little bit about those academic scholarships.
Well, for us, it's a case-by-case situation based on, a lot of different factors. I mean, again, they have their own little at our institution, there's a lot of little bullets that when they fill out their application that they have to kind of hit. Some of the stuff we don't know. I mean, the simple ones are you got to have more than a 2.7 GPA to kind of even be considered for an academic scholarship, regardless of your SAT score. Obviously, if you got that 2.75 or better, and then a strong SAT at 1,200, 1,100, somewhere in that 1,050 range, then I think you can start to see significant, scholarship money. There's still other scholarships out there, and again, based on our institution with lower grades. But again, that starts where it gets into that need-based area. If your family needs the money, they're trying to do the best they can to make this thing affordable. I would think most schools across the board, across the country now, I think 2.75 is kind of the minimum now. I mean, I think that's the benchmark we've set. I know it used to be like a 3.0, but I think people understand that times have changed. Kids are now not just going to school just to go to school. A lot of kids are working as well. So I think they've lowered it just a little bit to kind of help give some of these people more of opportunities to get to college and to make it affordable. But again, I think across the country and most of the schools, if you're someone with 1,050 SAT score, maybe even 1,000 with a 2.75, there's a great chance you're going to qualify for some type of an academic award.
So for all you guys out there to, understand the terminology, and we have some 7th and 8th graders, on the call too right now. Your guidance counselor at your school is, obviously when you get into high school, your guidance counselor, has your transcript when you move from one semester to the other, and paying attention to your report card, let's call it, paying attention to what your GPA is. All right. That's what Coach is talking about. 2.75, 2.75, 3.0, your grade point average. All right. these little things that go on each marking period, each semester you go through high school, can only help your parents save money. Okay, any institution is going to give you some academic aid that could help based off of what you've done in high school. So it's not just about, you're an all-sure player, baseball player, you hit 12 home runs this year for your high school, you're really, really good. And you have a college coach who really likes you, maybe more than one, and wants to offer you some type of scholarship. Their hands may be tied if you haven't done all your schoolwork the way you should. Okay? That doesn't mean you're going to get to Division I just because you may think you have that talent and ability and you're doing pretty well in performance. But if your academics aren't what they need to be, you may not get anywhere, no less junior college. You may not even be accepted to that if we're not going to focus on off the field just as much as we do on the field. Okay? Coach, I want to go into the next question is a little bit about this on your side of it, and what the parent role is for a recruit, because the parents aren't going to be the ones who are striking somebody out, helping you win another conference championship, hitting a home run, making it to the regionals. They're not the ones who are going to play for you or any other college coach. And I'm thinking on this side of it, it's for me is for the player. Who should be doing the contact? Who should be the one that is, sending an email or attending a camp at a college or whatever it might be that they're making the initial contact? Is it the parent? Is it the player? And what should go on?
Yeah, I think you just touched on the whole thing. Obviously, parents certainly play the role. When we get down to the part of talking about scholarships and what the cost of the school is going to be, I think that's when we most include the parent. But before that, obviously, it's all about the student athlete himself. You want to, again, I want to know what makes you tick. You want to know about me. They should definitely be reaching out. And I always say this to most of the guys, like, you want to treat this as like a job interview, something that you really, really want. Be proactive, show that you're really interested in the institution, the baseball program itself, and go for it. To hear mom and dad send emails, and again, we're not stupid. I know when a mother and a father has written an email as opposed to a student athlete. I mean, it stands right out. There's commas all in the right places, and some of the wording is much different than the language I see via text message and all the other stuff that goes on now. So, we want to know about you. You're going to come play for us. And obviously you're going to want to know about me. You're not going to want to hear it through mom and dad's eyes. You're going to want to see it for yourself. And so are we. So yeah, it's definitely got to be on the student athlete's shoulders. And honestly, we involve more of the coaches more than the parent, because again, you guys are seeing them outside of the element when you're on the field, and you get to interact a lot different than mom and dad do. We're all trying to be really good for mom and dad, but maybe not so good for Coach Blackwell until he reins us back in. I think I remember a couple of those incidents, right, Coach? But
No. I forget all of that.
I don't think I did, but
they don't know. They don't know our relationship that way. They don't know that I've known you since you were, 14, I guess.
Yeah, it's right around the same time. And again, I can't thank you enough for everything you've done for me and my brother and my family. So,
thank you.
But yeah, getting back to the topic. Yeah, I mean, it's got to be about the kid, because again, that's what the next 4 years of this relationship is going to be about. And then for me, it's after that. I've been invited to a lot of weddings, christenings, and it's been really a great situation. So it becomes a relationship, and that's what this whole thing's about. That's how you're going to develop more as a person. Obviously on the field, where I'm going to trust you, you're going to trust me. We're going to create a really cool environment that I think they'll remember forever. And I think that's one of the things we're probably more proud of more than any win, loss, award, is the relationships that are formed after. So again, real important to have that coach to player or prospective student athlete to coach communication.
That's fantastic, to be able to build a bond. And in many networks in life, whatever field of business, whatever jobs people may have, in the athletic world, bonds are built. And what I mean by bond, everybody out there, it's it's that friendship. It's that, friendships develop over time. They're not going to happen after one baseball practice. Okay.
Right.
Friendships and trust and loyalty develop over time. And it's important. So since we're talking about that right now, as far as the player contacting the coach, what would a coach want from that player? Should he send videos? Should it be game videos, practice videos, radar gun readings? There's so many crazy things going on out there now. But what would you actually want if you had to open up an email or you had to get some mail out of the mailbox at Felician University? What would you want from a player?
Well, everybody's getting pretty good at this now. So generally when we're getting emails, we're getting all the academic information. You should definitely include a transcript because obviously we have to have that transcript evaluated by our admissions department. They usually include that NCAA eligibility number, which again, we have to put in to our compliance officer who tracks all the information to make sure all those other things are correct. And then, usually there's some type of a 3 to 5 minute video of your skills, what they're doing. I kind of I don't mind seeing a BP. Obviously game footage is edited, so I really don't want to see that because that's all your highlights. I mean, I'd rather see you swing, take 10 to 15 swings on the side and just kind of see your swing and the point of contact and the bat path and the balance and all those little things that, help us get moving forward in the process. From the pitching aspect, I'm looking to see more guys throw strikes, have movement, be off of, have more than one plane. A lot of guys throw hard and throw fastball straight and flat, and they get hit a ton. Where you have guys that can throw 83 to 85, 86, but they have a lot of movement, they're harder to hit, right? The ball's on a downward angle. So we're looking at those type of things, the spin on a breaking ball, some kind of a depth on a change, that kind of thing. Like guys just throw out a radar gun reading. I mean, guys in the past have thrown lighter balls, done a whole bunch of different stuff that's really not ethical, just to kind of try to get themselves recruited more heavily, and again, great. I'm glad that you can throw 90 miles an hour, but if it gets hit and we can't catch it, it doesn't serve us any purpose, or you can't throw it for a strike. It serves us no purpose. So, just want to see a kid in a bullpen session as opposed to a game again, because again, I don't want to see edited. I can see that on my own with my own eyes. Just want to get an idea of what you look like, what the ball looks like, what your mechanics look like, all the other things. Again, I think that's our job to go out and see, with our own eyes, if we're thinking you're a fit and you have a role in the future in our program.
Thank you for that. That's such good information. It's reinforcement. It's good information for these guys to try to understand that they have to take care of what they have to take care of in the classroom, and then they have to be diligent on setting up their own baseball profile. Okay, it's not difficult to make a simple video. I mean, most people can handle YouTube, a link on YouTube, and I've heard from many coaches and even yourself, you might be out at a game seeing somebody else play, and emails are coming in, and it's very easy to just hit your YouTube link from that email, and you can view, a player hitting, pitching, doing whatever. I don't know if that's a way obviously you just used a good number with 3 minutes to 5 minutes in a video. Some of the players we know from the past, especially, would play ridiculous music on their videos. So
I turn the volume off. I'm not gonna lie. I don't want to hear a rap song. I don't want to hear I'm glad you like music, but I don't want to hear it. So I turn it off.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it goes right to mute. I just want to see what you do on the baseball field. I don't need any more distractions.
I always thought about if I could ever make a video of myself, like a recruiting video of myself, I would probably have like Louis Armstrong and Ella Fitzgerald music or something like that. I don't know.
I definitely see it as some kind of a country song for sure.
Yeah, it probably would be. It might even be me doing it, actually. But anyway, so, very informative. You touched on one thing too, that some of these guys, many of them on the call, don't realize that there is something called the NCAA Clearinghouse.
Eligibility Center. Change its name. Right.
Yeah, the Eligibility Center, exactly. The NCAA Eligibility Center, which used to be called the Clearinghouse, and is the Clearinghouse. Right. All that basically means, guys, is that you have to get cleared. I'll use that word cleared from back then, but your scores and SAT and GPA and everything that we just talked about, must be cleared by the NCAA for you to be eligible to play Division II or Division I. Okay? Coach, speak a little bit about that, because that comes out of the guidance department from their high schools. Okay?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of touched on it. That's that chart that we looked at earlier with the GPA, with the SAT, and you kind of try to find the right number there. And you also have to complete a minimum of 17 core classes, which we talked a little bit about. That's your maths, your sciences. But without doing any of that stuff, if you're not an NCAA qualifier, then no Division I or Division II school can even offer you a athletic scholarship. So, I mean, that's really the first step of all this before even, well, obviously a little bit after the first contact, is to make sure that you're on the right path, the right track to even be eligible for one of these scholarships, you know, from an athletic standpoint. So obviously for the kids out there who think, you know, like you said earlier, I throw 90, I run a 6.6 60, I hit a ball 400 feet. Those things are great, but just like in high school, and as is in college, it applies that if you don't pass, you can't play. You know, so you're really no good to a lot of people if you're not doing the right thing in the classroom. They'll never get on the field. And a lot of times, honestly, we've shied away from a kid that academically is kind of not doing the right thing. I mean, I've taken some chances as well, just like every other coach in the country. But as we've done this a little bit longer, those chances have kind of blown up in our face a lot more often than not. So you're looking for kids that are going to be a little more mature, going to understand, you know, what the actual job is as a college athlete. It's not easy. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of repetition. You know, you're putting in a lot of hours that you probably don't even think about. Probably the best thing that's happened to some of these younger guys going into this new generation here is this summer circuit of baseball and the fall ball, because that kind of does mimic a little bit of a college season. You know, and you're doing all those things with a fall non-traditional season. You're then getting into your weight room. You're into your skill sessions, your 6-on-1s and stuff. And then you're obviously playing your full season. Then you're going away to summer ball. So you're playing a lot of baseball. And it's not for everybody. So obviously we're looking at your academic transcript and seeing that you're struggling in a probably a 40-minute to an hour and 20-minute class in high school, which is pretty easy. How are you going to handle that in college when there really isn't anybody else on your back except for us? There's no mom and dad really taking out of the equation. It's really your coaches and you know, any other, maybe some teammates that are really kind of on you about being in class and making sure you're doing it. Professors aren't there to hold your hand, you know, just like we're pretty much not, although I feel like I do a lot of hand holding. You got to be accountable. You got to go to class. You got to do your work. You got to do all these assignments. There's no, kind of like you see in these movies, that stuff's all fiction. You're not getting any of these benefits. You're going to have to work a lot harder to, you know, get your degree than the average student, because you're just asked to do so much more. So again, going back to just a regular transcript, I mean, you got to start doing it now. You know, you really got to buckle down. You got to, you know, take it serious. Obviously you do the best you can to prepare for an SAT and ACT. And you know, but everything else you can control as far as your GPA. You can do well in high school. You can pay attention. You can get that extra help from those high school teachers to kind of help fatten up that GPA and put yourself in a better situation. SATs are, you know, some of it's, I don't know. I'm not a real fan of the test. I think it's kind of an unfair test, but hey, you know, it's something that we have to use to compare. So, but again, all goes back to that transcript, having a good GPA, and then getting yourself certified and through that NCAA eligibility center to give yourself a chance for an athletic scholarship.
Very good, Chris. You know, guys, I want you to understand, especially your sophomores and juniors, you need to go to the NCAA Eligibility Center's website. You need to have your guidance counselor take care of this for you. That's one way to go about it. But the number Coach used before, he used the term, your number, meaning in your video or your email, you know, when you're that far along in high school. So if we're now coming into the summer of our junior year for a bunch of guys, you're now about to be seniors come September. So you should have an eligibility number coming up, all right? And what that means is that then Coach who's on the call with us, any college coach, Division I, Division II, has to check on your eligibility, all right? You have one more year left of high school, and he wants to check on it to make sure you're on the right path of where you're supposed to be. Can you get into his institution? Will you be eligible when you get there? You know, those kind of things. So, you know, if you don't have a number, you know, once we get back rolling along with school or guidance department or anything you might be able to move forward with as far as that, that needs to start to be taken care of. So, we need our own in-house checklist that's very simple for me to put together for you guys, especially after hearing from some different college coaches and being able to get the information of what's going on today. That's important. What's going on today. If anybody has a question, you want to type it into the chat, into the message board, please do that. Okay. Coach, how about this one? Have you heard anything as far as summer ball for the college players? I mean, obviously you're in a unique situation, you and other college coaches right now, that your seniors may come back. It's up to them. There may be, a new roster for you next year with some new guys coming in, obviously from high school, but there may be a bunch of guys returning, depending on what school we're talking about. But, for you yourself, how's that going right now?
Everything's still in limbo. Nobody really has a real clear-cut idea of what's going on. A lot of the summer teams everything's kind of on hold still. As far as our guys going to, the NECBL, the Cape, and some of these other prospective leagues, like there's still so much uncertainty. We really don't know, to be very honest with you. Every day we're trying to find answers, and we're still just not getting anything. It's, I think we're obviously over the next couple of weeks, as this thing either slows down more, or hopefully some type of a cure's out there, might help answer a lot of the questions. But as of right now, I don't think it looks very, very promising for any type of a summer circuit, which is obviously, hard. It's going to be tough. But, I mean, again, we're going back to being safe and healthy. So, but, yeah, right now, still everything's up in the air. So much uncertainty.
Safe and healthy, the most important, the most important thing.
Without a doubt.
I'm going to ask our producer, Billy Pachamango, if you can.
There was somebody that popped in that said they had a question.
Yes, David Larson. David Larson is wondering, how does the recruiting process and all things. I think put on David's Billy. Put on David's mic. We'll get David in there. Great question.
I only get to see a little bit of it, so.
I was wondering how the recruiting process and all the things that you mentioned change when you're homeschooled.
That is a great question.
That's a great question.
It doesn't necessarily change so much from the academic standpoint, because obviously, the person who's homeschooling has to be certified. You're getting a transcript and a diploma, obviously, when you're done, and you're still taking all the standardized testing, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it really wouldn't change that much. I mean, again, the more information you feed the coaches, the better suited we are to give you a better answer and put together a better package and get you, get you accepted into the right school if whether schools you're interested in, you know what I mean? So it really doesn't change a whole lot, as long as obviously the person who's doing the homeschooling is certified to do so.
Okay.
Did I answer that? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think you did.
Okay.
Thanks.
You got it.
Thanks. Thank you, David. That's a very good question. Coach, I don't know if one of our coaches is on this call right now. I was checking through the list of everybody. But we have a coach of our 13U team, one of our 13U teams, who does an outstanding job. And he happens to be Carl Lorelli. So I don't know if Carl, but he wanted me to say hello to you and make sure. Today's his dad's birthday. His dad's 70th birthday. So he might be on this. I don't see him on the list right now, but he did want to, say hello, wish you well, and everything else, Remember Carl, obviously.
Yeah, I appreciate that. We catch up a little bit on Facebook. So happy birthday to Mr. Lorelli, Carl. Wish you were on the call still. After this, I'll reach out and see what's going on. I appreciate it.
Coach, and I think your mom celebrated her birthday a few weeks back, I want to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
65.
God bless her.
And my dad's coming up May 1st. He'll be 66, so kind of crazy. And fortunate to still have both of them in my life, so. Awesome.
Thank God, right? Thank God.
Yeah.
God bless both of them for putting up with your brother.
He's gonna love to see this one. Yeah.
No, he knows I love him just as much as you.
I hear you.
That's great.
It won't be the first time he's heard it either. So.
I gotta have him on as a guest. We're gonna talk about umpires. That would be
better have a mute button,
couple
right?
hours.
Yeah,
That'd be a couple hours. right, Coach. I'm going to let my guys out here know, that they all have my cell phone number. It's very easy for them to text in a question to me, for anything that they may need. So I'm expecting guys throughout the next week or whatever to have different questions. And, I'm a resource to them. They obviously know I'm here for them. We have a bunch of Jersey Giants teams. It's just become a great family of baseball. And, they need to know from me especially that it's okay. It's okay to talk to a college coach. They are who they are, one of them. You guys are just like those guys. I know you yourself. Let me think now. So playing for Henry on the Bayshore team, that's got to go back to '93 or somewhere around there, I guess, right? Something like that.
Probably a little earlier. Henry might have been that's
cow.
like 15-ish. So yeah, you're probably talking a little earlier than that, 93.
Not to pull out your age there.
I want to say like 91 is probably more of a better guess.
But that was travel baseball, and it wasn't really travel baseball. That was pretty much you were on a travel team, and it was the local group of top players just from a small area of the Bayshore, those few towns. And Henry did a great job with you guys. So my guys on the call, they really, really are learning that baseball coaches are baseball players. That's who they were before they were coaches. So it's, to be very comfortable and be able to speak to a coach is important, and know that, they were once in the same shoes that they're in now.
Hey, we're all human, right? I mean, I cry like you cry. I laugh like you laugh. I smile like you smile. So I always try to make it as easy as possible and be as approachable as possible because, yeah, I get it. There is some anxiety. I remember going through it just like you're saying, and being afraid of everybody. But, once I realized, everybody kind of, we all like the same thing. We all like the game of baseball. It made it a little bit easier. And I think a lot of times, just knowing that the personality of the person is, you're just going to be more of a fun-loving kind of person. I mean, it makes it a little easier. You're a little more comfortable. But yeah, I always try to tell you, like, you shouldn't be afraid of me at all. I mean, when I start yelling, it's a little different. But for the most part, it's, I want to be as approachable. I want to be there for you. Because at some point, if you decide to come play for me, I'm an extension of your parents. And I get into a lot of conversations with a lot of the kids about a lot of different things. So, it is that kind of relationship. It grows. Again, you talk about trust and all those type of things. It's just a crazy, relationship and environments. It's honestly, I wouldn't trade with anybody. It's been great. But yeah, we're all human. We're all the same. I just wear a little bit of a different hat and a different shirt. That's all.
Well, thank you, Chris. Thank you so much for this call today. We all took a lot out of this, and it's real important, the message that we're all trying to get out of this time right now when they can't get on the field, that there's ways to get better and there's ways you can learn, and whether it be the mental side of the game or the physical side of the game, or it be hearing from different coaches, ex-players like yourself. So thank you from our Jersey Giant family. We love this. And we do love your brother. He was a sponsor for our golf outing, our charity golf outing back in October. So
awesome.
We always love the Langan family. You know that. So
well, I appreciate you guys having me. Everybody stay safe, be well. We're here for you. If there's anything I can do to help, feel free to email me, at the Felician email, and I'll answer any question I can for you. Obviously, not to try to step on anybody's toes, but I'll be there for a resource as well. And it's all permissible by the NCAA, so it's not any kind of a violation. But be more than happy to try to keep helping.
Thank you so much. And guys out there, thank you so much for being on the call with us, and hope it was a great day for you guys too. All right, we'll see everybody. Anybody needs me, just shoot me a text or a phone call, email. I'm out here. All right. Thank you, Coach. Have a great day, buddy. Thank you.
You too. All the best, everybody. Take care.
Thanks, Coach.
you.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Take care, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.